email over, you're going to send digital all this too?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, other video segments
All right.
and then little clips.
Like all these stills, are we going to get these digitally so we can have them in our email?
Yeah, I can send those to you if you want.
Well, just a ton
Whatever's
easier.
easier.
No, it's a ton easier to get them digitally than send them straight to him, then he can produce them
Okay.
rather than shoot these with a camera. It just doesn't look as good.
I'll add it to it.
Yeah, every time we shoot you with a camera, you don't look as good.
A lot of people have said that. You know, it's really unnecessary on Friday to just keep beating me like a redheaded stepchild.
Well, I am redheaded, so.
There you go.
I'm a ginger, you just can't see it, I shave it off.
I can be always 4,200. Whatever. Right. You could have been with us yesterday in Melbourne, standing there waiting to go live at 6 and say, wait until the special reporter's over, and then go, yeah, you know what? We're not taking it.
So we're at 3 seconds, and they're going to run one of our factories again, so we're 4.
Oh.
How's that?
That's better.
Yeah.
We'll probably put up.
No, don't even, we're not.
Done moving it?
One pass. Mike, you ready?
Yeah.
Paper stuff. Okay. Is everybody set up and ready to go?
I'm good.
Good. Okay. Well, first and foremost, thank you for being here today to allow us the opportunity to update the community on this very tragic event, the homicide of Mr. Derek Cummings. He's 31 years of age. You know, he senselessly lost his life for what we believe to be an attempted robbery. And so we want to update the community on where we are progressing on this case, and we've had some good developments. But before I get started, I would like to introduce the staff. We got Captain Bill Nass. He oversees our Enforcement Bureau and our detective section. We have Detective Carrie Mims. We have Commander Jennifer Del Rosso, who commands our patrol. We have Corporal Detective Enrique Salacram. He's one of the lead investigators on the case, along with Detective Sergeant Matt Fields. He's been instrumental in this case, and Deputy Chief Derek Beckton, and then Captain Mike Schaefer over there working our audio. And my name is Larry Krantz. I'm the chief of the Casselberry Police Department. As we get started here, I know you've been provided some packets, but I think it's important to show this is our victim. 31 years of age, senselessly lost his life because somebody we believe wanted what he had, which was money. He was a father of 4. It's important to know this, with a 5th child on the way. He was a brother, he was a father, he was a son, and his family is devastated over his loss. Now, he was well known in the community as a club promoter here in the Central Florida area. He was well liked. People really thought highly of him for what he was doing. And his loss, very tragic, has been a tremendous loss that is felt throughout the community. Mr. Cummings was just trying to make a living to support himself and his family. At this time, we have no indication to suggest that Mr. Cummings had any known ties or relationships to the individuals that committed this murder. So, through the diligent efforts of our detective team, we were able to identify 2 suspects. We obtained arrest warrants for 2 suspects, one of which we were able to arrest the other evening on Tuesday, the 28th. The other one is still at large. The first individual that is arrested is Mr. Antwaun Woods. He's 21 years of age. He is currently incarcerated in Orange County Jail. The second individual that we have charged and having a warrant for first-degree murder and attempted armed robbery is Mr. Bobby Houston Bridges III. He is 28 years of age. Both of these individuals do have a criminal history. They've both been arrested on multiple felony charges. Mr. Antwaun Woods, he had several felonies, I think 6 felonies. One is still pending. The others, there was no prosecutions on. Mr. Bridges, he had several felonies, one of which he pled no contest to, and adjudication was withheld. Neither of these individuals, although they're suspected of committing this heinous act, were convicted felons. So, also now, before I get into the nuts and bolts of the case and the facts of this case, I think it's very much important again to state that all of us here at the Casselberry Police Department stand with the Cummings family during this tragedy and this tragic time for them, and we support them, and we will continue to support them throughout this whole process as we move forward. And even though it has been a devastating loss to the family has been very gracious and very helpful to our investigative team throughout our investigative process. It's also important to note that as we go through here today, that this case still is an active, ongoing investigation. So there will be facts that we will not and cannot speak to at this juncture. But I wish to assure the community and the Cummings family that our investigative team are going to continue to work very diligently on this case to ensure that we bring justice to the family. So as you may be aware, on January 28th of 2023, at about 05:27 hours in the morning, we received multiple calls of gunshots being heard in the area of the Carrington Park condos, which is located off of Howell Branch Road in our community. When our officers arrived, they located Mr. Cummings lying on a sidewalk on Caper Lane suffering from multiple gunshots. Unfortunately, Mr. Cummings succumbed to those injuries. This case has been a priority for this team here at the Casselberry Police Department since that day, and they have worked countless hours, hundreds of hours, following up on a bunch of leads and information as they received it. And I'm very proud of the work that this investigative team has done throughout this case, and all the others that have been involved as well. And because of their efforts, again, we have obtained these arrest warrants on these 2 individuals, and we're going to seek the community's help in providing us with information leading to the successful apprehension of Mr. Bridges. We ask that if you have any information whatsoever as to his whereabouts, to please contact Crime Line, or if you see him, do not approach, call 911 and report it. He is to be considered armed and dangerous. As a promoter, Mr. Cummings was known to it's a cash business, and he was known to carry what we believe to be large amounts of cash. which what we believe is what led up to this event. So what the evidence suggests at this time is that when Mr. Cummings parked his vehicle at his complex, he was confronted by these two individuals and attempted to rob him. Now, whether or not they were trying to get him to force him back into his apartment or his condo is unknown, but is possible, because what we believe, Mr. Cummings knew that his girlfriend and children were in the home, that he made an effort to keep them away from that area. So during the confrontation, he fled. He fled towards the other end of the complex to get away. And unfortunately, he was shot and he succumbed to his injuries. We know this through witness testimony and through evidence on the scene that he did flee from one side, by his apartment, to the other end of the complex. And in so doing, he also discarded his keys to his car, which also included other various keys, which very well may have included those to his residence. Again, I think he was heroic in his actions to say, I don't want these individuals getting into my home where they can hurt my family. The detectives, again, working very, very hard, tried to determine what happened here in this case. Well, they found out that he left from LaBelle's restaurant down in South Orange County off of OBT after he finished his work there. So they started to look at how we could determine what information we had to identify suspects. They were able to determine there was some video from the Home Depot at the Southland Boulevard Home Depot. And upon looking and reviewing that video, what they determined was they saw a white car, an Infiniti, in the parking lot. The parking lot drove in and out around the parking lot multiple times and probably was there for about 40 minutes. When Mr. Cummings left, that vehicle also had been left. So we suspect that that vehicle did, in fact, begin to follow Mr. Cummings all the way from LaBelle Restaurant on South OBT to his home here off of Howell Branch Road. How do we know that? Well, through the great work of the team, they were able to identify several videos, some business videos, that not only showed from Home Depot, the car in the parking lot of Home Depot, and then that car, we believe, following Mr. Cummings as it went through an intersection right near his home. We see on video Mr. Cummings driving his Camaro through the intersection, followed there shortly thereafter by the suspect vehicle, the white Infiniti. As we will show the video here in a second, you'll see that the car is following Mr. Cummings. And this video will be provided to you after the conference. You'll have it as well. It'll be provided via email. I'm going to show. These are still shots, or is that the video?
Video.
On the top of the screen here, you'll see the car come in, and then it'll turn. That's the white Infiniti.
I'll play it again, maybe all you guys were adjusting your cameras.
Yeah, the still shots there. Next. This is the overhead view from top of the business with the same car coming through. And for orientation purposes, LaBelle's is up to the top right corner of that parking lot. You show the still shots of that car, Mike, from the top view. And again, these will be provided after the conference. So in the center of the screen, top center of the screen, would be the white Infiniti.
Chief, are we to assume the Camaro's in front of that white car?
The Camaro would have been parked in the top corner by the LaBelle's Club.
So right now, they're just casing the joint, as it were?
That's what we believe, yes,
Okay.
that they're waiting. Okay. Now we'd like to go ahead and stay focused there. What we want to now show you is the video from a local business right near the intersection of the complex. The complex is located at the intersection basically just east of Lake Howell on Howell Branch Boulevard. And this is a video depicting that intersection. You gotta replay that, Mike?
Yep.
And then stop when the car goes through. This right there, that's the Camaro of Mr. Cummings. You'll see his brake lights start to come on there in the top corner to enter his complex. Right here. Technical difficulties.
Victim vehicle right there.
Yeah, right in the intersection is the victim's vehicle. Right about there, you'll see his brake lights will start to come on to enter the complex. Another car. There's our suspect car. And it also, you have the still pictures. That's the suspect car.
That's just minutes before the incident the carriage and car comes.
Correct. Just a short few minutes. Now, go ahead and hold that for a minute there, Mike. And if you want to get ready to cue up the other video for the exit. The investigators noticed during this, when looking at the timestamp on this particular video, I wanted to note that it is a little off as it relates to the actual time of offense. And we have confirmed with it that this is about 6.5 minutes or so forward of the actual time. So this video does depict the actual car going through, but the timing is off.
So it's about 5:25 instead of 5:31.
Correct. So we received so it's about 5:25 or so when those cars are going through the intersection. As you see, there's not much other vehicular traffic, and the brake lights are coming on for them to enter into the complex. 5:27 was our first call coming in, reporting from the witnesses about the confrontation and gunshots. It was a few minutes after the incident. You'll see the same Infiniti heading the opposite direction at what we believe to be a high rate of speed. Can you go ahead and cue that up, Mike? And as you can see, that car, it was certainly driving much faster on the way out leaving than it was following the victim. And again, all this information will be emailed to you after the conference so that you'll have it for your stories. Okay. So, again, I can't get into all the details of all the facts in investigative work. We're not going to divulge the investigative tactics or other evidence that we have, but we're confident that we can demonstrate that our suspects were watching for him to leave from the Home Depot, for him to leave LaBelle's, traverse what we believe the common route up Orange Blossom Trail to I-4 to Lee Road, and traverse all the way back over here to Hal Branch. And we believe we'll be able to demonstrate that through our investigative work. The team has worked very hard on this case and are going to continue to do so to bring justice for the Cummings family in this matter. Rest assured, we're still not done. There's still things that we still need to do, but we're happy to report that we know these two suspects are, or one is arrested, and hopefully the other one will be arrested here soon. The white car is registered to our second suspect, who is still at large, Mr. Bobby Bridges. Again, I would like to implore the community, if you know his whereabouts or know anything about this case, please contact the crime line and report the information. If you see him, Mr. Bridges, out there, please call 911 and report it so that law enforcement can seek to arrest him. I would also like to ask Mr. Bridges himself directly, and his family, please, if you know where he's at, encourage him to turn him in. We want him to turn himself in safely. We don't want anything to happen to him. We don't want anybody to be harmed. We would like for his safe, expedient arrest so that we can continue to move forward in this matter and bring this case to closure. So, and with that, I'll go ahead and be happy to answer any questions, and the detectives may be able to answer any questions you may have as well.
You've got two suspects. Do you know if you had two shooters? Do you know if there were two weapons involved?
I can't get into all the evidence, but we believe they were both actively involved in the case.
And looking at the video that you guys have and the pictures, you really, how did you know what you were looking for, I guess, with these cars and stuff? And really had to fine-tune
Right.
what you're looking for with cameras and everything, right?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. I appreciate that. But yes, through information that we received from the public, it helped us start in this direction. And the great work of this team that stands behind me.
So we know he was a promoter of various, events, entertainment events. So this restaurant, it had like some sort of entertainment component where he was providing that entertainment that night? Is that how they would have known where he was going to be?
Yes, and he advertised such on his own social media as well, that he was that promoter, and he would advertise his events because he wanted to get a draw for people to come in, obviously, to participate in the night events, whichever night that might have been. So he certainly did the same for this evening.
So it's your belief, investigatively, that through his own promotion of his events, as he's trying to conduct a perfectly legal and appropriate business, that people utilize that information to target him?
Well, I can't go that far at this point to say that they did that deliberately. I would say that they knew he was there and that his business he dealt in cash, so I think that was a connection. That they knew he was working, they knew his business, he dealt with money, and they were looking to get that.
Was he
They had
seen
no
in that?
no previous contact with him?
None that we've been able to determine.
Was he seen in the business to know that they were in that business at the time that he was in the business?
We have nothing to indicate that our suspects were inside the club at this juncture, but we know that there were social media posts or live little clips thing from within the club. That's the normal routine that happens in this particular venue.
It's kind of scary for anybody that does something like that, like where they get cash on hand to do a job.
It is. It's very scary, and unfortunately, what motivates these people to act in this way, it dumbfounds me many times. Why is it that people want what someone else has, and they're willing to commit such a heinous act, even just a robbery, without shooting or killing anybody? Why are they so willing to commit such an act in order to take what other people have? And it's wrong. And these people need to serve time in jail. And as far as I'm concerned, they should never see the light of day again.
How did you know he was running away from the house to prevent the people from going into his home? I know you talked about throwing the keys. And
Right.
what do you think that says about him?
I think he's a very brave man, heroic in his actions to say, if that is the case, which I believe that's probably what he was doing, to escape that, so that he did not want these individuals to get into his home where his family was. That speaks volumes about the character of the man, who he was, that he was willing to ensure his safety or give up the safety of himself for the safety of his loved ones.
And it would appear that even though he was in a cash business and one that would have him come home very much in the late hours, you never found any gun in his vehicle or on his person. You don't believe that he traveled with weapons?
Our victim?
Yes.
Yes, our victim possessed a firearm.
Okay.
Yes, he was legally permitted to have the
He
firearm.
just wasn't in a position where it happened so fast that he wasn't able to defend himself in this situation.
Correct.
What is the cautionary tale for this, Chief? I mean, he's a guy who's just promoting his business, and the more he promotes, the more successful he's going to be, so he can raise his children.
Right.
And, you know, I guess you can't control that only the people who are going to be enjoying that business are the ones that are going to see it.
You know, it's a sad state, like I mentioned earlier. Why someone will feel so compelled that they think it's okay to take what someone else has rightfully earned and worked hard for, and is just wanting to provide for his family. Why is someone willing to do that? Not going to get into all the social issues, but certainly there are consequences, and people need to pay a price for their actions. And if they are found guilty, they need to serve an appropriate amount of time so they are not able to come out and victimize anyone else. And God forbid, make someone else fatherless, husbandless, and maybe lose their son or their relative.
Do we believe these two are connected to any other crimes like this in the area?
No, we have no information to suggest that at this time, no.
And I guess it's kind of ask and answer, but just to make sure that I'm clear, you're saying that they're both equally responsible, and I get that under the law. Do you think they both fired upon your victim?
Well, that's something the investigation will still continue to work through and determine exactly through forensics, and we're hoping to collect the evidence. Now, I will also mention, I forgot to, but upon the arrest of Mr. Daquan Woods, the Orange County Sheriff's Office assisted in that. He was arrested in the Apopka of Orange County, and ultimately the search warrant was executed on the home, and 3 guns were confiscated. So we're hoping through forensics that we'll be able to demonstrate which gun hopefully was involved in this particular homicide.
But your victim did not get a roundup?
Not that we can say at this time, no.
Besides the 2 men, the one you arrested, the other one you're looking for, is there anybody else involved in this that there could be pending arrests that you're not saying about? Or?
Yeah, we're just going to allow the investigation to continue and see where it might lead us.
The warrants are identical. They're facing the same list of charges, I guess,
Yes,
felony
sir.
murder and attempted robbery?
Yes, first-degree murder and attempted armed robbery.
You said you spent hundreds of hours working on this case, investigating. What was so difficult about it? Was it getting to that point, realizing he was being followed?
Well, you know, from the very beginning, it's an unknown, right? We don't know, so we were trying to find out the ties, and we couldn't locate any ties to anyone at that time. So the canvassing was really important in this case as well. But it was also thanks to you guys putting the information out initially and helping us, because that did help draw some information towards us that kind of helped take us down a good path. But rest assured, though, even though we get information, I know you're all well aware of this, it's a process. It doesn't give us probable cause. The evidence is not necessarily there yet. You have to work your way through each and every step.
But you were aware, I mean, through his advertisement, through his promotion, where he was last seen alive. I mean,
Yes.
So it allowed you to start at the labels and start
Yes.
looking at cameras in that area
Right.
and finding his vehicle.
Yeah, both ways. We worked it from both ends, from where he began and where he ended, and kind of worked those ways and canvassed the areas. And we want to thank the business communities too for their also willingness to help us in this case and provide us with this. Everybody that we made contact with were very much willing to assist us and provide us with whatever they had. You know, so we thank them. And I also like to say, in closing here, that we had such a tremendous collaborative effort here in Central Florida with all of our local law enforcement organizations, and we could not have done this without the assistance of all those, from the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and our Brevard and Seminole State Attorney's Office. There's a number of people, the Marshal's Office to help us. So we've also, I believe he's got relatives in Georgia, so Georgia authorities have assisted in helping us as well. So we are certainly looking to arrest him. Again, I'd like to say one more time, if you know where he is, I ask you to please contact Crime Line and provide that information so that he can be arrested. And if you are his family members, please encourage Mr. Bridges to turn himself in so that we can move this case forward in a safe way. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much.